Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Rick. I am your captain on this channel, as well as your chef. Now today I've got another delicious recipe to share with you, and you're probably thinking, oh boy, what's he up to today? Is he gonna do another halibut recipe? You bet I've got another halibut recipe to share with you. You wanna know why? This season, we absolutely smashed it out there in the Pacific Ocean, out there at the potato patch. We smashed it all over the San Francisco Bay. And if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, then you haven't been seeing what's been going on. And I hope that you consider subscribing. I have a very large percentage of my viewers that are out there that are not subscribed yet. I don't know why, specifically because I've got so much content on my channel. I have a website, 24ksportfishing.com, for you guys to visit. I've got a whole ton of information on there. I share all of the outing. I share all of the reporting that we do when we're out there doing our fishing. And if you're subscribed to the channel, or even if you visit the website, you'll see for yourself. You must be a subscriber. Now, I'm going to continue with this delicious recipe to share with you. I want you guys to get some inspiration when you're out there working so hard to bring home that fish, and you ask yourself the question, what am I going to do with the fish? Well, I tell you what, if you've been watching my channel, or if you are subscribed to my channel, you're always going to have an idea of what to do with the fish. So today we're going to share with you a very simple recipe, but yet it's so delicious. It's a seared off halibut, rosemary, thyme, garlic. We're going to throw that on a bed of thin angel hair pasta noodles, garlic, butter, tomatoes, onions. It's going to be so delicious. I'm telling you, you're going to be inspired to give this a try. I'm going to make sure that what I'm doing is easy to follow. I want you guys to follow it and to be able to execute this recipe. Let me know what you think. I hope that you enjoy what I'm about to bring. I hope that you're ready for it. Let's get started. Now, I appreciate your time and I appreciate you tuning in. So to cut some time off this video, I'm going to go ahead and prepare most of the stuff offline, so you don't have to watch for 10 minutes me chopping onions, tomatoes, garlic, parsley. I'm going to prepare the box of thin pasta noodles ready to go in the boiling water that's already back there. Like I said, I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned. Let me take care of a lot of these things and I'll be right back. So let me tell you, there's nothing more exhilarating than watching someone put pasta into a pot. So literally, this is just going to be a box of this. I'll throw that in there. We'll let that cook up 6 to 7 minutes according to the box, and that usually works out pretty well. I usually turn off the heat after about 6 minutes and I'll let it sit. Then I gauge the readiness of the pasta, and then we'll go ahead and prepare the rest of the stuff. Maybe just a little more. So what I also like to do is I like to add a little bit of the olive oil, maybe a tablespoon into there, that way it doesn't stick. So after adding the olive oil, we're just going to stir this up, kind of get those noodles kind of broken up so they're not stuck to each other while they're boiling. I usually do that for a few seconds, 10 to 20 seconds, just so we can break that up and let it cook evenly. And that's it. And then I will let it finish for the 6 to 7 minutes that it needs. Okay, so now I can start working on the noodles. So I'm gonna stir fry the onions, the garlic. I'll throw in some salt, pepper, white wine. Let's make it happen. So we'll throw in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we'll throw in our onions first. It's all right if tomatoes fall in there. It's going next anyway. This is on high heat. That way we can brown up the onions quickly. You want that onion to be caramelized, but not burnt. You just want it nice golden brown. As soon as you start seeing it turn color, it takes about a minute or so. And I'm using a wooden spoon, that way you guys aren't annoyed by the metal to metal contact with the stainless steel pot that I'm using. This will take about 2 minutes, roughly. This is about the time I like to start throwing in that chopped garlic. That's about a half a clove, or excuse me, a half a bulb, which is roughly 6 cloves or so. Or there's never too much garlic in a garlic noodle, I'll tell you that for sure. We're just going to stir fry that up, let that raw flavor get cooked out of there. Right around here is where I add the tomatoes. Tomatoes will give that give the moisture back, so you're not burning anything. But it'll also give the tomatoes a nice roasted flavor. Let those tomatoes cook up just a little bit. We're going to let it sit. All right, it's been about 2 minutes. So as those tomatoes dry up in the pan, this is exactly what you want. Then you'll add the white wine, maybe a 1/4 cup. And we'll let that cook up. Leave it on high heat for about a minute. Let that alcohol burn off just a little bit. So because I'm using salted butter, I don't have any unsalted butter. I'm using a little bit less salt than I typically would, but I use a little bit more pepper. We'll throw that in there. We'll give it a good mix. You don't want the tomatoes to be overcooked, so let's give that about 30 seconds or so. Then we'll go ahead and turn this on low. Turn the fire on low. Then we'll add our whole stick of butter. And that is for our butter noodles. And we'll let that butter just kind of work its way into everything. As soon as that butter is melted off, it usually takes about a minute or 2. You just keep an eye on it. Now notice how I have the fire on low, and that's for a reason. We don't want that butter to dry out. We want that butter to infuse into all of those tomatoes, onions, and garlic. And then we'll just let that sit. Now we're going to go for the fish. So as we let that pan get to temperature, we're going to take our fish. Now would be the time that you want to salt it. Be generous with the salt, pepper. Don't salt it early, salt it right when you're about to cook it. That way the salt does not draw out that moisture from the fish. Flip it over. All right, so the pan's come up to temperature. I'm gonna add the olive oil. Let's start with 2 tablespoons. Okay, we want this pan smoking. If it's not smoking, it's not ready. Because remember, we're trying to sear the halibut off. All right, as you can see, the pan is smoking now. We're gonna add our little bit bigger piece. We're gonna flip the fish away from us so we don't burn ourselves. This piece is a little bit thinner, so I'm gonna add it just a little bit last. The fish is only gonna take about a minute to cook. So now I'm gonna add this thinner piece. I'll throw in the garlic. Okay, now would be the time that you want to throw in your herbs to the side. Maybe do a half and half in each corner. Constantly check the garlic to make sure it's not burning on one side. We're in about a minute and a half on the fish. Our garlic is coming up to temperature, that's good. All right, that fish has been searing off for about 2 minutes. So right about now is where I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over. There you go, it's a nice brown. I'll take the whole stick of butter. So that's gonna smoke off and that's A-okay. Mix the herbs around just a little bit. Push your fish to the side. And now, give it a butter bath. One of my favorite parts of this. For about 30 seconds. As those herbs break down into the butter, it's going to season everything beautifully. I'm going to take my fish out now to let it rest. We'll let the rest of the cooking time. We'll turn off that fire. We're going to take our fish out. Let the rest of those garlics fry up in the pan, get them nice and brown, and we'll leave that alone. Put it to the side. There is our beautiful fish, seared off perfectly, cooked perfectly. Remember, you do not want to overcook halibut. Literally a minute, 2 minutes, depending on your pan and the thickness. All right, folks, we're practically done with the dish. We just set the fish aside, let it rest, and this is the time that you want to bring that sauce back up to temperature. We're going to throw the noodles on top of it, we'll mix it, and then we're going to start plating. So stay tuned. All right, you can see the sauce bubbling back up. Now is the time that I like to add the whole lemon juice. Okay, so you just squeeze that in there. Might have to use 2 hands for this. But get a whole lemon and throw the juice in there. Now we would throw in the parsley and finalize that mix. We didn't want that lemon in there too early because we don't want to cook the lemon off. We want that lemon butter flavor. Lastly, We're gonna slide in our noodles, and we're just gonna toss that in all that sauce. You can even put the heat back on to super low. And that's it. Mix it for maybe about a minute, just to make sure all those flavors get incorporated and mixed. It's kind of like what you do into spaghetti and spaghetti noodles, except that we want that butter, garlic to coat all of this thin hair pasta. All right, I'm gonna take this over to plate, guys. All right, so let's make this plate look beautiful. Now check this out. I forgot to mention the microgreens are not necessary, but it does make the dish look that much better. So I highly recommend you pick some up. It's microgreens, and then I have some leftover cilantro greens. So I mix that a little bit so that we have a nice portion to sit on top of the fish to make it look extra beautiful. Look at this. So there we have it. I already have a mix of salt, pepper. I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe do a sprinkle. Then we'll add some olive oil. Okay, mix it. My hands are clean. We'll mix, mix, mix lightly. I always tell everybody, do not crush it. These are very delicate. As a reminder, if you mix it too hard, you're gonna bruise your garnish, and you don't want that bruised garnish. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for just a second. Let me go ahead and start plating, and I'll show you what we'll do. Man, oh man, those smells are wonderful. Let's plate. We'll set that right in the center. Get some of those tomatoes, just like that. I'm gonna take a piece of fish. Already my hands are clean. We'll throw that on top. Then remember those garlic pieces that we had left over in the pan. Pull out a few pieces of that. Just kind of put it on the side. All right, so I'm gonna reach for a few lemons. Okay, that should work just fine. Then I just kind of tip the pan, stir in this butter. I'm going to put that on top of the fish. Maybe 2 or 3 spoons, just to get some of that moisture back. And it'll also help out the flavors. Then here come the microgreens. Delicate. We'll just take a handful of that. We'll set it on top of the fish. Hopefully it stays. Then you'll need some capers. I would say this is optional, but anything that I say is optional, try to not have it optional. We'll just throw the capers around. Then lastly, I'll take 1 more spoon of butter. I'm going to drizzle it on top of that. And there you have it, guys. We're done. All right, folks, here you go. The moment you've been waiting for, the hard work that we put into this. It's not a very complicated dish, but there you have it. Beautifully seared halibut on top of garlic butter noodles with capers and microgreens on the top and wedges of lemon. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take a bite, guys. So we'll take our lemon, squeeze that right on top of that fish. let's see this. Watch how beautifully flaky. Oh my gosh, look at that. Just gonna take a piece of fish. Oh, it's so flaky. It's gonna be like this. All right, we're going for it. You guys have to give this a shot. Oh, that's good. You have to give this recipe a try. I'm telling you, it's a really simple recipe. I hope that you enjoyed watching it. Give it a shot, give it a try. I'll try to leave the recipe down in the description. And as always, I will see you on the next one, guys.